Good evening. It is Saturday, April 17th, 2021. It's going to be the first time in a while that I've done a video like this. Actually just got done running on the National Mall, and that may not seem like anything special, but here's the subject of the video is going into how I am able to run again, how despite injury, I've kept going, some of the things that I've done in the meantime, what works for me, what doesn't. I'll preface this video by saying I am not experienced or educated in medical background. I've had some minor education in physiology of fitness, but the issues that I've encountered are head and shoulders above what most people have been able to answer. I've been looking for answers for a long time, and even going to podiatrists and other folks, and they've done x-rays, they can observe problems, but they haven't been able to give me good solutions. I've known a lot of runners, and they've had a bunch of issues, and especially with the more invasive techniques like surgeries. There's some that are so painful where even in a non-invasive method, they have to go under general anesthesia. And even then you could only do it so many times, and you're not fixing the person. They keep on breaking down. So you get declining performance over time. So let's take a step backwards. The day is December 21st, 2015, the winter solstice. I was running with a pack on. Wasn't a lot of weight. It was only about 15 or 20 pounds. I was going by the reflecting pool by Lincoln Memorial and putting up a pretty good time. In those days, I was running with a 15 to 20 pound pack about, I'll say, between 70 and 90 miles a week. It would be usually about 13 to 60 miles a day. I was commuting, I was training, I was doing everything running. So it wasn't continuous, but my continuous runs were on the order of about 6 miles, and all on concrete, and not necessarily with the best shoes. I actually wore out the bottom of 4 pairs of shoes during that period of time. And at that time too, I was putting up, I did 1.5 miles in 9 minutes with a pack on like that on the concrete. So I was booking, I was putting a lot of load on the feet. And then on the winter solstice, I felt something, a sudden pain in my foot. And so then I stopped by the steps by the Lincoln Memorial for a while. This is on the water side. And, I did push-ups and stuff, and I was like, okay, there's something wrong with me now. And so I decided to take some time off because I knew I was injured at that point. I ran home, but after that, I decided to take a couple weeks off. That ended up becoming about 2 months. And that's where I told myself, hey, I'm going to put on some weight because I was running real lean and mean. So I just wanted to flood my body with nutrients to try to fix it naturally. And it didn't fix itself. So that was the start of what ended up becoming a crusade to be able to run again. And intriguingly, because there was an injury and it wasn't getting better, in order to walk again, because even now, running for me is less painful than walking. And I know that sounds crazy, and I've been trying to get an explanation for it, but I think I finally have it figured out. And my epiphany occurred exactly 5 years and 2 days, or 5 years and 2 months after that happened to me. So I gained weight, and then since that wasn't working, now we fast forward to the start of my diet and exercise vlog videos, where I just wanted to drop weight, and in order to lighten the load on the foot. And I only did that because I saw on a Dr. Scholl's thing, I was trying orthotic inserts, I was trying everything else. It wasn't working. Those aren't fixing the structure of your foot. Those just exist there. And at about the same time, I went to a podiatrist, and he x-rayed my foot, said, okay, that's interesting. So what happened, it was the right foot, and he observed it. So a normal arch is like this, and my foot was like that. So I still had an arch here, but these ones were collapsed. So just so you know, and what that does is it creates space in here. So we can get into some of the technical details on why I was feeling what I was feeling, but it always felt like I could never balance on my right foot, no matter how much I tried. It felt like I was walking on an ice skate. which was the worst feeling in the world. And he's like, well, you know, you collapsed your arch. And when it happened, I actually thought I had a forefoot break. I actually had so you have tendons and muscles that run down your foot. I had one going crosswise that was cutting the rest of them off like that. And it's entirely possible I had damage done there. I had a physical therapist try to do trigger point on it. To this day, I mean, you know, you've seen my lung video where I almost died. But even that was probably less painful than the trigger point on the foot. And I've seen some videos on it where guys are screaming. I was just like, bite something down and claim it was horrible. So orthotics didn't work for me. Trying to just let my body recover on its own didn't work. Footwear didn't help. It's still, I mean, 5 years, 2 months later, it sucked. That said, I still decided to push through the pain for many things. I ended up doing a very challenging selection, and I also did you know, I had some personal things happen, and so then I ended up doing a running race on a whim with my family, and I ended up getting at that point in time, I beat the women's record by 10 minutes. First running race in my life. I only ran 4 miles that entire year, and this is about halfway into the year that I did that race. But that was trying to train different ways to run. So eventually I stumbled on an article where someone mentioned your heel's an anti-rotation device, and I thought that was interesting. So now I'm gonna give you a little bit of a show. Okay, I can't even do that. So if you look at the foot, if you see how you tip up on the toe, you see how the foot rotates, how you can make an arch, how it goes flat and you can make an arch. So what happens is when you load up the top of the foot, you rotate. Your ankle rotates relative to your foot, which is in line with the knee because you're getting countering rotations. So if I were to just point my knee in a normal direction, my foot would go out like that. So I actually need to step down and load up and rotate the foot. The problem is that can adjust the twist of your knee. And if you see, based on physics, right now with my heel in that position, my foot's forming a triangle between the inside of the foot, the outside of the foot, and the heel. When it's like this, my center of mass is right here, which is forcing me to fall over that way. and I dropped the phone. So in order to be stable, you actually need to rotate up and do that. So what I surmise from this, is that I'm missing one of the attachment points in here. A lot of times, a lot of people said, oh yeah, if you have plantar fasciitis, just grab a towel and do this. That doesn't do crap. You actually need to have your heel engage as the anti-rotation device, and then you actually need to make sure that your foot lands that way so that when you rotate, so when your foot lands here and you do the rotation, now your knee is pointed straight. So when you put it together, you actually want to land on the outside of your foot, and that aligns your heel, and now your knee is straight, and that has saved so much in terms of the pain, and I'm actually starting to gain strength again in the foot. So hey, that's one thing that I offer up. You have countering rotations on the thigh, the lower leg, but your foot might not necessarily be pointing in line with your knee. So that's where you have to be conscientious of how is your ankle rotated and how should you rotate your ankle. And the thing that sucks about it is you do have to think about it consciously. So one of the things that helped with running was actually almost hopping, where you're landing on the toe and you can go, but you spring off the toe. And by totally eliminating the heel from the equation, as long as the heel doesn't touch the ground, it's actually going to align naturally with the knee and you're going to get a natural rotation. Another critical point here is you'll see people running, the feet that'll be yawing, zigzagging back and forth. That's fine in this scenario. The big thing they say is you don't want to have your knees like this. It's bad if your feet are going outside of your knee. What you do want to have is in a straight line or even bowed out like that would be better. So doing those things, I'm starting to run again, starting to feel better, and that's where I'm picking up. And I'll probably do an update video. I'm not getting any stress in the IT band or anything else. So if you have a similar issue where the orthotic inserts aren't working, where nothing's working, where they're pushing for medical, well, let's say surgical procedures or even non-invasive but very painful procedures that won't necessarily hit the root of the problem, hey, this is something that you could do to try to regain use of your foot again. So that's all I got. I mean, you know, I stuck through it a lot too. I just knew I had diminishing returns if I continued. So this is where I had to do something different. And fortunately, this is working for me. Give it a shot. All right. Good night.